We're going.
Going? Okay. Everybody, thank you for coming out on such short notice. I know that didn't have a lot of time before this all went down, so I appreciate you making it and taking the time. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to cover the keto portion of the challenge, if that's what you're going to be doing. And Donette, who's behind the camera right now, is going to cover the if it fits your macros, flexible eating, whatever you want to call it, plan. Okay, after me. So getting right into it, I just got a few bullet points I want to talk about. Keto, so what it stands for is ketogenic, right? It's a ketogenic diet. What it is it's a diet that trains your body to burn fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates, okay? Carbohydrates are the easiest form of energy for our body to convert, right? So if we eat too many carbohydrates, that's all our body's ever going to burn, right? It's carbs, okay? When we start training it to burn, thanks, Megan.
Brief cameo by Megan. Look at her carry that box.
That's how those guns. Alright, so yeah, with keto, guys, we're focusing on, like I said, training your body to burn fat instead of carbohydrates, instead of muscle for energy. Okay? Because basically there's three major pathways you can get for energy. Carbs, fats, protein. Alright? And Donette will talk about how those are the three big macros too. Those are the three ways your body can use, those three things that your body can use for energy so you can get through the day, right? So with keto, the way we train our body to use fat for energy instead of carbohydrates is we have to feed it more fat than carbs, okay? In a way, we're forcing our bodies to say, okay, we don't have enough carbs to burn, so we have to look for an alternate form of energy, right? And if we're feeding it all as fat, preferably healthy fat, right, in the form of avocados, macadamia nuts, coconut oil, and so forth, which is better for you, of course, than animal fat. If we force it to use that for fuel, then it will naturally, once it's burned up that, when we consume, it'll turn to our own bodies and say, well, we need to burn all this fat that's on our body as well. Okay, and the way it does that is through a little thing called a ketone, all right, or ketones, all right? And that's where it gets the name from, the ketogenic diet. Normally, when you eat carbohydrates, your body will have an insulin response, okay? And we talk about insulin with diabetics and things like that, and how they are insulin resistant, which means their body starts producing more and more insulin, and it gets to the point where the insulin that their body's producing can no longer break down carbohydrates, so we have to supplement that, right? Now, what we're doing, instead of using insulin, which is a natural storage hormone, right? When you have insulin in your body, it wants to store whatever you're eating as fat, right? If you know someone who's a diabetic and they always shoot in the same spot, they can get fat deposits there because that's what insulin does, right? It's a storage hormone. With ketones, those are produced by the kidneys, all right? The kidneys produce these ketones and they allow our body, rather than using carbohydrates, to use the fat for fuel, all right? What can you eat on it? Pretty much whatever you want that doesn't have carbs in it. And you think that that's a lot of things, but it may not be as much as you think, because if you're used to eating a carbohydrate diet, you'll find that basically everything you consume has carbohydrates in it, right? A slice of bread, will have more carbohydrates than an entire day's worth of keto eating, right? That you're allowed to eat. So with keto, what we want to do is keep it around 30 to 50 grams of carbs per day, so it's pretty low. I'm typically on the lower side of that too. I usually go sub 20 if I can, right? Which most of the days. Then after that, the next thing is going to be, obviously, you want your fat intake to be high. Typically, it's pretty easy to hit your fat content because you're going to be eating protein that will have fat in it, right? If you like avocados, which have tons of fat, that's good for you, that's fine, right? But I've never had to track my macros with it, but typically, if you wanted to track them, you want it to be like, 50, 40, 10, so 50% fat, 40% protein, 10% carbs, that kind of thing, where you're tracking what the ratios are with that. Okay? Any questions so far? And please raise your hand if you have any questions with it. Okay.
Is this the type of diet when you start it can feel crappy for a while?
Well, I'm going to get into that. So let's just rest it. So, Yeah, there's the part where you can't have donuts for breakfast, it makes you mad, and also because your body is transitioning from burning one type of fuel to another, there's a time where it's basically like what the hell are you doing, right? And it's like, we have to fix this and make it work so we can start burning the fat. Now it's different for everybody. I've been doing a form of low carb or keto basically every time I've tried to lose weight, right? Including now, where since January I've lost 110 pounds, right? Since January. And that was just changing from last year just doing CrossFit to this year doing CrossFit and doing keto, right? So it obviously works, right? But the things to expect whenever you're first starting, yes, when your body's transitioning to burning fat for fuel, it doesn't really know what to do for a little while, right? So it doesn't know what to burn because there's no carbs, but it doesn't have any ketones in your blood yet. So it's like, well, and because of that, you might feel down, you might feel just no energy. Sometimes people say it's like flu-like symptoms. I never had flu-like symptoms, but sometimes you might feel a little bit like, oh, this kind of sucks. And that can range from a couple days, it could be up to 2 weeks. If it's, some people supposedly last for a month, but I've never heard of anyone who's done that. That's lasted that long. But other things to expect as well is once you get through that period of adjusting to burning fat, then you have a constant supply of energy, right? We all have body fat on us unless you're like 1% body fat, and even then there's still some fat there, right? So your body isn't required or you're not required to eat anything to have energy, right? Because your body's using your fat for energy all the time. So instead of having like, the 2 o'clock crash, right? So you have breakfast, you have lunch, and then it's like midday and you're at work and you're just like, wow, this sucks. And you have no energy, right? Around 2 or 3 o'clock, as you would say. Instead of having that, your body's just burning at a constant rate, so the entire day you're going to have energy to get through it, right? And that's really cool. So once you get past that little flu-like introductory period, it's pretty awesome. So because of that, because the energy system of burning fat is a steady supply of energy, as far as WODs, which we all want to know about how it affects our WODs, right? With things like endurance or low reps and low weight, high volume, things like that, you'll find yourself being able to go like harder, faster, longer, right? And the reason why is because, again, your body's burning that fat instead of relying on what you had for your pre-workout. Now, the cons with workouts is with keto, you don't have any muscle glycogen. Now, what muscle glycogen is, when you eat carbohydrates, your body takes some of the carbs and it basically puts it into your muscles, okay? And it's quick energy, that's what carbohydrates are. So glycogen is a quick form of energy built into your muscles. Now, what that does for you, if you're lifting something heavy, it has that energy right there for you, okay? And that's where you're going to see PRs, a lot of muscle growth, things like that, because you can push yourself harder when it comes to the heavier weight. With keto, you don't have any muscle glycogen, or very little, okay? So things like, if you're looking for a weight PR, like if you're, I want to PR my deadlift, it's going to be a lot harder on keto than it would if you're eating carbs all the time. But remember, if you're doing keto, you're not looking necessarily to be, okay, I want to build tons of muscle and do this. You're looking to cut fat. And the good thing about it is that because you're eating a moderate amount of protein and your muscle or your body is burning that fat instead of carbohydrates and instead of protein, then it spares your muscle. A lot of times if we go into like just a calorie deficit form of eating or whatnot, your body will start attacking your muscle for energy because, again, that's that other pillar of energy, right, that it can use is muscle or protein. And that's what we don't want. And the good thing about keto, because you're forcing it to burn fat, it won't attack your muscle nearly as much. So just an example, I've been doing it pretty much straight up, until now, so the last, 10 months. And while some 1 rep PR or 1 rep lifts like back squat and deadlift haven't gone up, they've stayed roughly the same. But other things like obviously my run's gotten way better. It's a result of losing weight too. But those endurance, quick workouts have gotten a lot better. I've set a lot of good PRs with that. Okay? Do you have a question, Brian? Any questions yet?
I want to hear what your typical day is.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
So it helps if you like, well, I won't say it helps, but it's easier, of course, with any nutrition plan if you're okay eating basically the same thing all the time, right? And some people that's easy, some people it's not, right? But that's pretty much what I do. So in the morning, my whole day is like I'll wake up, I'll do pre-workout, and I'll actually do a scoop of coconut oil, so a tablespoon. I actually do the pre-workout warm, so it'll melt it, right? I do that, and then protein shake after workout, and then 90% of the time it's going to be bacon and eggs or sausage and eggs, right? So there's basically no carbs in that at all. There's plenty of fat, right? Lunchtime or any other meals, it kind of varies. Ideally, you want to have leafy greens in there, right? So if you like spinach, like broccoli is like the only vegetable that I can eat. I don't know, I have issues with it. But broccoli I'll do all the time. Chicken, right? And don't be afraid to just like add butter in there, right? So I'll do broccoli with butter, and that's fine because you want that fat, right? Any protein, so steak, fish, whatever you want in that regard is just fine. So those will be my meals. Usually I'll have like low carb tacos. I always suggest getting the low carb tortillas. They're like, depending on which size you get, they're like 4 to 6 grams, right? So it's a fairly big chunk of your daily allotment if you're going for 20, right? But I find that with that, I can pretty much use it for whatever I want. You could cut them out and use it as a hamburger bun, right? You can do tacos with it all the time. You can do wraps with like, chicken or turkey or whatever, right? And I'll have those all the time, or even the quesadilla, right? So what I try to stress is like, yes, there's better choices on keto. There's better and there's worse choices. And of course, you want to stick to as much leafy greens, vegetables as you can. That's where the majority of your carbs should be coming from because they're good for you. But if you're in a pinch and you're like, oh my gosh, I only have like some cheese and a tortilla, like just throw some cheese in a tortilla, microwave, and just eat it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I found in my experience is like it's better off like make a little worse decision rather than going to
A really bad one.
Going to like Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Obviously, you don't want to eat quesadillas every single day for every meal, but it is there for you and it'll fit within the plan. Right? Another thing that I do is I always have some kind of staples. So like peanut butter, I will never be able to give up peanut butter for all my life. And peanut butter is not that bad with carbs either, right? It's got if you do the atoms, which is like the good stuff, right? Yeah, it's 6 grams of carbs, but there's fiber in it, 2 grams, subtract that out, which is important. When you're looking at labels, you always look, okay, what's the carb content? If there's any sugar in it, that obviously counts, but if there's any fiber, the fiber is subtracted from that total carb count. That makes sense? You might hear like the word net carbs sometimes. You'll see that in the tortillas. It'll be like 20 grams of carbs, but like 16 of it is fiber, and that doesn't count against you. But I always try to have those staples like peanut butter. So if you're going to scoop peanut butter, I do that. String cheese. You can do macadamia nuts. Snacks and things will get you through the times when you're like, almonds are really good. Any nuts. So, and that'll get you through those times in between where you're like, I don't really know what to eat, but I'm getting kind of hungry. That's what I do. Now nowadays, I'm actually incorporating intermittent fasting. Now what that is you're only choosing a certain time of the day to eat. So I'll only eat until noon. And then after noon, it's just water until bed. And then wake up the next morning. There's plenty of benefits to that as well, but it's a little, that's like the few steps down the road. You gonna do that? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm doing now is that exact same fasting routine, and it's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to it.
How often?
Every day.
You do that?
Yeah.
But if you can fast through the night in the morning, like not during the day,
I know it sounds crazy, right? Because you're thinking, how can I not eat anything and I'm gonna like shrivel up? But intermittent fasting has several benefits. It's kind of like a new thing, right? What they're finding is, it used to be when you fast that they're like, oh, are you gonna put your body in starvation mode and you're gonna like burn all your muscle and it's gonna be terrible. But what you'll find is that fasting also will boost HGH levels, so human growth hormone, so it promotes muscle building, right? You will shrink the size of your stomach, which is good because you're not eating tons of food, because we as Americans typically are like, we like the big meals, all that stuff, not everybody, right? But as a general rule, we do. And it also teaches you the discipline, right? And all that. But it gets those hormones in line. And yeah, it's been great so far. I've been doing it for a few weeks. And then
Boost testosterone levels, not
Boost
just
testosterone.
not the sexual one, but the free testosterone that helps you with lifting and and alertness and all the good stuff.
exactly.
I got plenty. Bulletproof coffee, where you mix the grass-fed healthy fat butter into your coffee.
So that's what I do based on pre-workout instead.
Oh yeah.
I just do the pre-workout warm, have the coconut oil in there. I also do, I have quite a few supplements, but I put creatine in there as well. But yeah, so I do that. Intermittent fasting, like I said, is that's a few steps down the road. If you're just starting, I don't say, hey, jump into this and start fasting all the time. It's not going to work out well for you. But the good thing with keto is that you don't feel hungry all the time. Because you're eating so much fat, your body always feels satiated for the most part, right? Obviously, if you don't eat for 10 hours, you might get a little hungry. But as a general rule, you'll go several hours and be like, oh man, I haven't eaten since 10 a.m., So intermittent fasting and keto work really, really, really well together.
So you're able to fast and then work out at 5 in the morning?
And it's like more energy than I can know what to do with.
Really?
Yeah.
It's taken some time to get there,
that's
though.
the new thing is training fasted is becoming a very popular
So
method.
do you have to do the intermittent fasting like every day to get the results from it, or do they
Not
recommend you do it every
necessarily.
day?
I try to do it. I've only done it for a few weeks now, and I try to do as much as I can. So every day at work, I do it because it's just easy. Because I'll wait till noon, then I'll just work all day and not worry about it. And then if I get hungry, chug some water. That's fine. But as often as you can,
First few times when you did it, was it hard?
It's all here, right? It's all here. It's just like when you're trying to get through a workout, it's the exact same thing. Yeah, your muscles are hurting. You might be feeling a little hungry if it's your first time doing it, but it's ultimately up to you what you're going to do. If you're going to eat, if you're going to decide to go through it. And I know maybe that's a cop-out answer, but in my 10 months of doing this, that's number one. It's like you're either going to do it and decide to do it, or you're just not going to do it, right? And once you make the decision, you commit to yourself, and in this case, the challenge, you're committing to your coach and all that. That's when you're going to do it or you're not.
So if you get down to the percent body fat that you want to be at, then how do you transition back? How does your body respond to that? Does it
Transitioning back to carbs?
Well, yeah. If you start eating like a more regular diet afterwards, how does
You
your
have to
body
reverse diet.
So you slowly would add things back in. Now, what I would say is that you don't necessarily even need to do that. So, what I was going to get into actually, Brian, you had a question too.
I was just thinking, as far as the fasting, it seems like that also goes along with getting that transition, getting into that ketogenic state.
It does.
You're burning.
It gets
Right
you
now,
to
most of us think fasting is the dream because we're so used to carbs, and then the body's like, hey, I need carbs. But once you make that switch, it seems like it would feel totally different because your body is used to burning fat now.
Exactly. So you don't feel the same kind of hunger pangs as you would normally.
So right now, to us, it sounds absolutely crazy, but once you've gone through that transition, it's really
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't something you just want to jump into right away. But during the challenge, if you feel good after a couple weeks, then yeah, you can do it. But I'm sorry, I was about to get into it. And what did you?
I was just wondering, like, when you're trying, like, so
you
this is a
transition back.
lifestyle for you. This is like how you plan on.
Yeah,
For
I don't anticipate going back. So let's get into that. Let's talk about some of the pros. So with it, and the reason why I say I don't want to go back is that the biggest thing with keto is it's anti-inflammatory naturally, right? Your body retains fluid, retains water, because it needs to break down carbohydrates normally. To break down a gram of carbohydrates takes X amount of water molecules to surround it and break it down. What happens when you're saying, okay, well, I don't have any more carbs to break down? Your body will naturally flush out all the extra water. So if you do keto, if you're going to do it, you're going to see in the first week, you might lose 10 pounds. You're like, what the crap? That's because your body's like, oh, I don't need this water, right? Let's get rid of that. Okay? So you're naturally going to be leaner on a low-carb or ketogenic diet than you would eating a diet that has carbs in it. So if we're looking at, let's say I got down to my goal weight, like 200 pounds, and I'm like, well, I'm going to reverse diet and I'm going to add some carbs back in. that might mean, okay, well, yeah, I haven't gained any more body fat, but now I'm 10 pounds heavier just because I've got this water, because I need the water to break down the carbs I'm eating now. Does that make sense? So for me, I'm like, well, I want to stay with it because I want to be on that leaner side to do better at things like pull-ups, eventually muscle-ups, things like that, so I can still be on the edge of that, on the more performance side of that. But yeah, and the way that we'll do it, so let's talk about the variation. In fact, that's what we'll get into after that. So when you get down to maybe where you want to be, there's some variations on keto you can do that will kind of, they'll apply to whatever situation you're in. If you want to gain a little bit more muscle, if you want to do whatever, you can abuse the system, so to speak, so that your body will respond the way you want it to. So primarily, there's a couple ways. So if you ever hear SKD, that's the standard ketogenic diet, right? That's pretty much what you guys would be doing if you're doing keto. But then there's two others. One is called CKD, which is the cyclical ketogenic diet, and TKD, which is a targeted ketogenic diet. Now, the cyclical ketogenic diet, what that means is you're cycling carbs, right? Maybe every week or so, you'll have a cheat meal or something, you'll load up, and then you'll cut it out for the whole week. That's, to be honest, more or less what I've been doing, because I always allow myself a cheat meal every week or two, right? That is good because you will have glycogen in your muscles, so you'll be able to use that for workouts to still set PRs and do things like that, but it's not ideal for CrossFit because the nature of CrossFit is always high intensity, right? We're burning so much glycogen that glycogen lasts for one day and then it's gone. The rest of the week we don't have any, right? That's where TKD comes in. So targeted ketogenic diet, what that is every day you're choosing a specific time, maybe before the workout or before you go to bed, where you're eating a high glycemic index carbohydrates, and it could be like straight up Oreos if you want, right? And you do that to replenish your glycogen stores every day, right? And this is something called the anabolic diet, which is essentially that, where you're eating low carb ketogenic, which you're refeeding all the time to make sure your body has the glycogen. But you're not eating so many carbs that your body's storing all that fat, right? So basically, you're feeding your muscles, not your body fat percentage, is where that comes in. And that's becoming more and more popular as well in the fitness industry. But yes, sir.
So like you were saying, it's kind of like when your body gets into ketosis, it's kind of like hard to really, like you said, the flu-like symptoms or whatever, it might take a couple days to really get into it. But then I've heard it's like really easy to get out.
It is easy to get out of
it.
it.
Get back into it again is like the same.
So your body will adapt. So if you're in ketosis and you go and eat like 5 slices of pizza, you will not be in ketosis the next day.
Yeah.
Like, you just won't.
And you'll just feel crappy.
You'll feel really crappy. Like, trust me, I've been battling this for months now. I'm like, the only good thing about cheating is that, ice cream tastes good. That's it. Because the next day I feel like crap. And if you're ever here on Monday morning and I'm like swearing at the barbell, that's probably what happens. I eat some crap and I'm like,
All right, Dave, how much pizza did you eat last night?
exactly, right? So keto is kind of an all-in or all-out kind of thing, right? Like I said, there are the cycles where you can add more carbs and stuff, or the targeted where you're eating each day a little bit. But your body adapts too. So if you've never gone into ketosis, it might take a little longer than normal than someone who's done it forever. But as you start doing that, your body starts realizing, okay, now I know how to do that, how to get into ketosis. So if I don't get any carbs, I can easily switch, right, that metabolic pathway to be burning fat instead of carbs for it. So yes, at first, it's hard to get into it, and if you have a cheat, it might be hard, but each time you do, it gets easier. If you ever listen to Barbell Shrug, they just talked about metabolic flexibility. And one of the things that they talk about, which I guess you know about, one of the things they talk about is like, do that. Eat no carbs for a week, and then have carbohydrates, and go back and forth, and it teaches your body to be flexible with whatever you're giving it. And they claim that is kind of the secret to being a really good athlete, is being able to train your body to be flexible in whatever food that you're consuming, so you can use it most efficiently for energy. But anyways, I mean, guys, honestly, I'll never say that a meal plan or nutrition plan is right for everybody because everyone's different. Even though I know this would work for everybody, it might not work for your taste buds. It might not work for, you know, who you are, right? And that's okay. But what I can tell you, I mean, as far as what's happened with me, you know, obviously if you follow me online or anything, it's a success I've had. I all to this, all to keto. So, and maybe you're not trying to lose 225 pounds, right? And that's fine. You don't have to do that. But if you're looking to slim down, to cut a little bit, to pull some water out of there and get it out of your body, reduce inflammation. If you have like a sore knee, this will help because you're going to pull all that out of there. And it has a lot of health benefits aside from just losing weight, right? But with that being said, any questions, guys?
What are your average portions?
Average portion sizes, I mean, on eggs, I'll do like 3 eggs, 3 pieces of bacon, around there. And then from that, it's like probably smaller than normal. Like if I do a taco, it's not a huge taco.
Well, I mean, like, instead of doing like a taco, I'd probably just throw everything from on a taco on top of spinach and kale.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've never measured serving sizes since I started. But this is what I'll say, is that because with keto, you don't have to worry about calories as much. Yes, you could eat enough calories so you won't lose weight. You don't really burn, or you don't really gain fat, but you won't lose anything because your body's burning all the food you've eaten, right? But to get to that point, I mean, with keto, because you feel so full so quick, it's a chore. Like, you'll be have to eating and you're like, oh, I'm full, but I want to eat more taco meat, you know?
You're not eating things that you typically want to binge on.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Exactly. I could crush like a thing of Oreos, like.
Yeah.
But like, you know, tacos,
stack of
like,
pancakes.
I've had enough taco for today, and it's only a small taco. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would just go, hey, what looks normal? I mean, you're not going to put a whole giant plate full, right?
Greens?
Yeah, but greens, you can crush those all day.
Lucky you.
You can crush those greens all day and not worry about it, right? Eat as much as you want, because there's no way you're going to eat enough greens to max out your calorie intake. There's just it's not physically possible. So, what else, guys? Nothing? That's it? Who's planning on doing keto? And we got 2.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Maybe this is a question for later, but how do you know which one to choose?
Well,
That's my problem. Like, I was thinking, I'll try paleo, but this one sounds pretty good. So how do you-
paleo and keto aren't that far apart.
Yeah, they're really similar.
The only difference with paleo is that you can't have cheese, which I like cheese, so
Or peanuts.
you can't have peanuts, any legumes,
No beans.
no beans. Yeah.
On paleo.
Yeah, if you do strict real paleo. But listen, here's the thing, Matt. Here's the thing. Paleo works because keto works. With paleo, it's naturally going to be lower carb, right? I mean, yeah, they have things that you can eat in there that do have carbohydrates in them, but they're all low glycemic index carbohydrates, right? So not hitting your blood sugar. So the reason paleo works is the same reason that keto works, because you're getting your body used to burning more fat than carbohydrates. So what I'll say is, if you really like sweet potatoes, then paleo is probably better for you. If you'd rather have cheese, then keto is probably better for you. But and you can combine the two. You can combine the two as well. So don't feel like I have to do this, I can't do that.
There's a keto pizza. It's cheese, you fry it, and I'm throwing pepperoni.
I use low carb tortilla. Brush it with olive oil, and then you like kind of cook it so it's like a little crisper, and then it's money. It's not that bad.
Do you eat fruit?
Fruit, not really, because of all the glucose in it,
Yeah.
or fructose. Sorry.
What I've been reading, I downloaded the PDF just because I've been looking at it, is berries, but
Yep.
still very small amount.
Yeah.
So like if you're eating a big, heavy fat yogurt, you can put a couple berries on there to add the flavor, or some stevia flavoring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stevia is good. Anything else, guys? I guess that's it.